Hello folks, it's good to visit with you again today. This is Jerry Mon with Law by Choice for Freedom, and we've done several short videos recently, and it looks like we're going to continue this format. It's easier to watch a short video than to sit down and try to look at a long one. We're all busy, and so that is what this is going to be. It's going to be a short video. And I want to talk about the Bible again. The Bible, the book that outsells all books. First one to be printed on a printing press. The one that most of our leaders put their hand on when they're sworn into office. The Bible that is known all over the world. Sold billions of copies. The most printed book in the world. So we're not off to some strange ideas. This is something recognized. So we talk about it. Most people own a Bible. They have it in their home. What does the Bible really say? You know, there's a text in Isaiah 48, I believe it is. Let me look it up here. I want to see if I'm correct. Isaiah 48, it's rather interesting. And what has happened is a lot of people profess to believe the Bible, but we don't read it and understand it. And any thought that comes in our mind, many times we think, well, it's a good thought. And we attribute it to the Bible. We really don't know. Some teachers, they go off of the Bible. They really don't preach the Bible anymore, but they know that it was a good book. They know that it was the book that their fathers and grandfathers all read, maybe in America, most people in America, even in Europe. After all, the churches are supported by the state in Europe. The people, when they pay their taxes, a percentage goes to the churches to maintain the churches. Now, I don't necessarily advocate that because that is state telling what churches are approved and so on. And it's not done because the people want it necessarily, but because it's mandated by the state. So I'm not necessarily approving that, which I don't really approve, that system, but it is a fact. So that these nations, and most of us here in America, recognize when George Washington was sworn in, he kissed the Bible, had his hand on the Bible, and that's a tradition that's been followed pretty much by many people all through the years as they're sworn in. So, but what does the Bible actually say about different things? That's what we're held responsible. When I stand here, I'm responsible to study and to present what the Bible says as close as possible to what is the truth and what it is actually saying. I've had to change my mind on many things through the years as I've read. I had preconceptions by what I'd been told, and I thought, well, that's in the Bible. But then I look and I studied the Bible and I discovered, well, that really isn't true. In fact, it's really contrary to the Bible. And here's a verse in Isaiah 58. And I like to read this because it's along this subject. It says, "Hear you this, O house of Jacob." This is Isaiah 48, verse 1 and on. "Hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of the Lord, and make mention of the God of Israel." Make mention of the God of Israel, swear by the name of the Lord, but not in truth, nor in righteousness. You see, there comes a time when people and religious leaders and politicians will mention things in the name of the Lord. They'll profess to be of God, but then it goes on and says, but not in truth nor in righteousness. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name. I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. In other words, they say these things because they want to make a point, and they've strayed away from what the Bible teaches. And that's where we find ourselves today. We find ourselves, I'm going to go to one other verse, and we're going to close this short segment. And this is in Isaiah chapter 10. And this is very serious, and I believe that we might find that we fit in some of what is said here. And it says, this is Isaiah 10, verse 1. "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that write grievousness, which they have prescribed. And then I'm going to jump down and we're going to go to verse 4. Without me they shall bow down under the prisoners, and they shall fall under the slain. For all of this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. God is still stretched out to warn him. And then he says, O Assyria, the rod of my anger and the staff in their hand is my indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil, to take the prey, to tread them down like mire in the streets. In other words, I'll bring the Assyrian, enemies of Israel, against a hypocritical people. His people had become hypocritical. They said, oh yes, we're on the Bible. Oh yes, the Bible. Yes, that's us. But they weren't. They were hypocritical. They weren't following him. My friends, may God help us to come to grips with what we've just talked about here today. God bless. We'll talk to you in the next segment.